frustrated, but I'm excited.
So, it's going to be a Terran versus Terran, so Dual Sight's an interesting map for TVT as we go ahead and transition over to the scoreboard screen. Just because the way the interaction works is that there's different kinds of style that are pretty viable. As you see, though, most of the time people really like Marine Tank on this map, so it'll be interesting to see. We did see not too long ago Alive do a really cool Raven Rush here on this map, so there's just a lot of different styles that are viable, and that's why Dual Sight's actually not that bad of a map for Terran versus Terran. I'm excited to see what these two players will bring to the table.
Well, since you're so excited to see what they bring to the table, why don't you go ahead and introduce them?
Alright, so in the top right, we have Mouse Sports, Thorzain, Marcus Glulf, and he is going to be the blue Terran in the top right corner, and opposing him on the other side of the ring is the red Terran. His name is MarineKing Prime, and, you know, MarineKing in Korean is Habyewang. I learned that the other day. So.
Oh, nice. Yeah, you know what? I would love to get Rosetta Stone and actually learn Korean. Yeah, because I obviously have to make it over to Seoul at some point. As again I said earlier, everybody should try to make the pilgrimage over. At least all the foreigner players need to make the pilgrimage over. I feel like it would do nothing but help their game, but not everybody able to do so just yet. However, MKP, you know, some things about MarineKing, obviously just in Fuego here lately, winning the Winter Arena, and after he had won, he was so intense into the match, you know, with no crowd there, he wasn't even sure he had won. He was ready for the next game, and it was like, the ref comes over, congratulations, and the look on his face was just phenomenal. So happy for him to see that he's finally breaking out from second place and starting to win some championships. That's just great. Yeah,
I mean, it wasn't the first time MarineKing's ever won first. He did also win the Arena of Legends, I believe, some time ago. So MarineKing does have some first titles under his belt, but people just want him to win a major championship.
Exactly.
Just because of the whole idea. Now, something a little funny thing to note, Thorzain SCV here is actually not even mining. He's just following along and being a micromanagement boss, basically.
It's emotionally supportive. That's an emotionally supportive SCV. Actually giving a day 9 back rub, which is the best back rub.
Yeah, he gave me a nice little pat in the back, and I really could tell that Sean gives great massages. But more about this game, though. Both players they already have their opening build orders set. MarineKing Prime going to go ahead and go for one gasless fast expand with 1 barracks. And at the same time, we do see that Thorzain is going for the barracks, but he's also getting gas. So a little deviation already. Dumbo, give me your thoughts about what we've seen so far.
Well, you know what? I'm thinking that obviously Thorzain, a player that we always talk about how meticulous he is with his build orders, with his timings. Now actually adding a second gas as well. But you know what else? Thorzain spending some time in Korea. It's not like he doesn't know MarineKing. It's not like those guys haven't faced each other before. I'm looking for Thorzain to set the tone in this TVT early.
Yeah, you know, well, because since Thorzain was the one who didn't choose to he's the one who did choose to go for gas, he's the one who has to make a play, otherwise MarineKing would just get way too ahead of him.
Yeah.
And so the burn's on him. For a while, it used to be thought that if you went for a gasless fast expand, you're just going to be playing defense mode for a while, so we'll see how much MarineKing has to deal with pressure-wise, but he is getting up his double refineries as well, so he can get up his factory. So it's a pretty delayed tech, but still, nonetheless, he's just going to be about a minute behind in terms of getting up all of his important buildings. See Thorzain already getting his tech lab, getting his starport. Now, Banshees is actually a very powerful thing against a gasless fast expand specifically. Because you can kite those Marines perfectly, as we see in StarCraft Master level 28.
What is amazing to me about Thorzain is he just knows how to pick build orders. It seems to be his day. You know, so we're going to see exactly what you said, I feel, as we can see the starport landing right on the tech lab, and there we go, Cloak being researched.
Yep.
So Thorzain gearing up. Feels like I'm casting with Nostradamus as he accurately predicts the build order coming out of Thorzain. So obviously is going to want to set the tone here, and I like the decision, by the way, out of Thorzain.
It's a great decision, but that's a couple things to consider before we enter into a critical part of the match. We probably won't get rest. Is that Thorzain is 1-2 in his group right now, and a win would put him in 5th place and potentially tie with MC and Sase. So it's a really important thing to really get this good win. At the same time, MarineKing with a win here I believe no matter what, clinches his pool, so it would be really important for him to also establish a win here.
Absolutely. So both players fighting for very important wins. As you can see now, first Banshee on the field, 6 minutes of 45 seconds or thereabouts when it hit the field. So that's really quick. And MarineKing actually going to see it here with his Hellion.
Yeah. So it looks like we see that MarineKing gets a good sight on the Banshee, and that'll be really important for dealing with it. Now, the biggest thing is that he has to make sure that whether or not he has to save scans, because Cloak isn't done yet. He doesn't know if Cloak is on the field. For now, he feels like he won't, and we'll see whether or not he's going to be forced to do. But Cloak has been revealed, and will MarineKing scan or not, or will he have the patience to hold off on it?
Look at this, being super active with that Banshee, getting in that SCV line, taking pot shots at the Marines as best as possible. And you can see right now, MarineKing quickly putting down that eBay. Has to get some missile turrets up, needs some detection. There goes the scan, but will the Banshee escape? It in fact does.
How much health does it have on it?
So it looks like he's got, that's the refinery actually. Let's see if we can,
it's about to run out of energy anyways.
Yeah,
I think
38 health.
Realizes.
Yeah.
So with that, how many workers were actually killed? We'll find out in just a second. It looks like we have 11 killed, but it's not done just yet. Another Banshee is here onto the main, right above the mineral patches. It looks like the scan does push it back, but again, another Banshee will end up living. As a result, more SCVs will die here, and great job here from Thorzain, but the question is...
Oh, he wants to pick off the SCV, actually, that's going ahead and constructing the missile turret. Doesn't want to let that complete. Shooting every SCV except the one building the missile turret currently.
Yeah.
So we'll actually lose that Banshee as well, but an awfully good start there. Now, you know, you have to notate, if you're new to StarCraft, it's very important that you go ahead and place your missile turrets in your mineral line to get good zoning. That way you keep the Banshees out from your critical mineral patches and away from your SCVs. Gives you enough time to go ahead and respond to them. Now we're going to see Blue Flame has been researched by MarineKing, and as you can see right now, wants to go ahead and get active with these Hellions.
Yeah, so we do see that Blue Flame Hellions is the weapon of choice right now for MarineKing, as he does have more factories lined up in his base. Now, he is landing his Viking just for mild harass, but he is going to get out of there really soon, because right now he's trying to focus on the natural, where he's going to go ahead and try to run by, but is denied access, but still could go after some SCVs here at the natural. Some mules are mining peacefully, but not for very long, as these Hellions want to go for an SCV barbecue. As looks like a good job here being dealt with by Thorzain, though, minimizing a lot of damage that could have turned really badly.
Absolutely. MKP hosting a barbecue over at Thorzain's house. Thorzain not too appreciative, I have to say, as he is able to get some kills off there. So if we look, 8 kills still, 10 more in favor of Thorzain. And also, should note there, Thorzain expanding behind all of this action that we've seen. So has a third command center. So while we saw initially MarineKing go with the gasless expand, you know, Thorzain up on bases currently at the moment. So going to go ahead and morph into a planetary there, as MKP finishing up his third, constructing it in his main, which I like actually.
Yeah, so we do see that the command center here from MarineKing is considerably later, and as a result, won't necessarily be able to move out. But the more important thing is that MarineKing is actually going for a mech-based play, so naturally things will just be a little bit slower for him. He's getting double armory, so he's going to go for good upgrades, which I like. But we were talking earlier about biomech and the prevalence of them on this map, and that's exactly what Thorzain is choosing to do versus the mech. So I'm interested to see, because we were talking how dual site, a lot of different styles can be played, so we're going to see a clash of direct confrontational styles.
No, absolutely, and you know what? Right now I'm keeping track of this medevac as it is heading straight for the main here, Froden. And I feel like there's going to be an attack on both fronts. Let's try to keep an eye on both these engagements as the Blue Flame Hellions do land in the mirror line. Checking back, though, over at MKP's base, you can see Thorzain here with a tank, a host of Marauders and Marines stimming and getting into the middle line in kind, responding in kind there to a MarineKing. The siege mode, obviously, more than efficient, as MKP will siege up. And you know what? Both players electing to pick up and head home. Let's take a look here. Where are we at on workers killed? Holy cow.
32 workers have been killed from MarineKing, and Thorzain, we can go ahead and check his worker count right now. That I just imagine Thorzain would be up significantly, 50 to 39, and that is very, very valuable to Thorzain, especially because he's up a base, so his SCV production will even outmatch MarineKing that much further.
Exactly, going to be able to call down extra mules as well, so just a boon to his economy there. To have extra energy, and MarineKing doing the best he can to go ahead and harass Thorzain. And man, I got to tell you, win, lose, or draw, my hat is off to Thorzain, man. The guy's got the SC2 chops, that's for sure.
Yeah, you know, Thorzain is doing a good job here, but MarineKing at the same time, he's still doing what he wants to do. He's getting his mech out, getting his Vikings out as well, and getting out some pretty important upgrades. The question is, will he try to grab the third soon? Because Thorzain does have that. He has that map control, that map mobility. And that's kind of why people like Bio in general in the state of TVT, but MarineKing, we've seen him do crazy things in the past, and I wouldn't count him out just yet.
Oh, no, of course not. That's exactly why I said win, lose, or draw. I love Thorzain, though. I mean, he has definitely earned a lot of fans, and I mean earned, because the guy is dedicated to the game. You know, he's put so much of his life into it, all of his life into it, really, and he's proof positive that hard work pays off.
Yeah. Oh yeah, big time.
MarineKing though, so of course you know what? It'd be easier. It's just as easy to say the same thing for MarineKing as well. However, MarineKing blessed with a lot of natural talent as well.
You know, yeah, MarineKing. There's one of those GSL documentaries, like a player short, shows MarineKing practice like 10 hours a day, nonstop, and he for a while he practiced like marine splitting 2 hours a day or something crazy like that. And MarineKing just is one of those people who.
Do you know his favorite Brood War player?
Did it begin with B and an Oxter?
Certainly did. He actually took that name initially in SC2.
That was a while ago.
Yeah, well, it was. And Boxer said, you know what? He's playing better than me. He wants it. He can have it. So very gracious with Boxer. The community actually made a big deal about this, though. They were like, wait a second. That's kind of sacred land. That's like using, you know, Michael Jordan's number. Let's back off for a second.
Or his name.
Yeah, or his name, rather. So, you know, but it just showed that, you know, it was pretty much... well, hold that thought. Here we go, as we're going to see an engagement here. And does get the medevac.
Yeah, so the idea right now of what the game actually transitions to is that we have a point where a mech starts to become hard to confront, to the point where Thorzain is actually not going to want to fight in a head-on battle. He's going to want to capitalize on the fact that MarineKing's tanks can't be everywhere at the same time. You might expect to see really big drops, and that is why it's so key for MarineKing to put up sensor towers, because he keeps track of unit movement, make sure he can't get caught off guard by a huge doom drop, and that way he'll ever get caught out of position and lose production. Because a good way to hit mech is, if their max is to catch him off production cycles and be able to hit him where it hurts the most. So we do see that right now Thorzain's moving towards his bottom center of the map, but MarineKing has a pretty strong anchor here at this base as long as he sieges up here.
Absolutely, he's got a nice siege line here. Hellions also still in play into the mid-game. Viking on Viking action, as you can see. The Viking lead, though, in heavy favor of Thorzain at the moment, as Thorzain sieging his tanks as well. Engagement going down here in the center of the map, and you know what? Thorzain ruling the skies right now, uncontested. I was saying, though, it was more of a term of endearment in taking Boxer's name, and he meant nothing by it other than the fact that it was his favorite Brood War player, and, you know, settled with MarineKing Prime, which I love that name. I'm glad he settled on MarineKing Prime. That's very suiting for him. He is MKP.
So we'll see if MKP is able to hold off on the siege. For now, he's just going to have to give up his refinery as he is. Moving out his units to the top center of the map here. Looks like he's going to go for a counterattack. Now Thorzain doesn't have that much defending the third here. He is expanding to the top left and trying to send some units back, but for now, MarineKing Prime free to do as much damage as he wants to the third. Looks like Thorzain did have a Banshee in here somewhere, but he's losing a lot of the air battle as well. We were talking about how Thorzain controls the skies, and that's going to play a pretty big part later on in the game if the game decides to continue that long, especially with Banshees there.
Absolutely. MKP satisfied right now we'll hold the phone. Okay, satisfied just to siege up there. We had a momentary lag spike, and the Banshee is right there that you were referring to. Actually just firing away right now at the tanks of MarineKing.
Wow.
As well as the Hellions. And
that one Banshee is so smart, but the Thor does arrive to the battlefield and does manage to take out some units. And for now, I mean, Thorzain's still trying to see if he can siege the third base of MarineKing, but MarineKing's doing the same exact thing, so both of the players' thirds are under siege here, Dumbo.
Absolutely. You know what? The Thor, one of the coolest looking units in the game, undoubtedly. There is no
But we
doubt.
do see, well, the whole time here, Thorzain was preparing a battle cruiser, and it has been arriving to the battlefield and taking out some of these tanks. Now, the important thing about the battle cruiser is that the Thor is terrible anti-armored air, so, you know, he can take a lot of abuse, but at the same time, Thorzain can't stay in there too long, should go back for repair. And now we have an interesting position where both players kind of can't really push any further just because they're going to lose the entire army, so it's kind of a weird stalemate.
Well, this is where TVT typically gets to, right? It always funnels into this sort of funky, okay, chess game, who's going to make the next move, a battle for positioning, and I love the decision for Thor, but I love the decision out of Thorzain as well to go battle cruiser. Of course, taking 6 to 8 volleys in the first exchange and surviving quite fine, and you can see right now taking so much damage, but no worries.
Well, Tumbo, a couple things to consider here, so that MarineKing's mech upgrades are pretty ahead of his opponent. He is going to finish +3/+3 pretty soon. Oh, look at this. Thorzain wants to go for a tank and bio drop here directly onto the siege tanks of MarineKing. And MarineKing is actually losing a lot of supply because a lot of his supply is actually right here outside the third of Thorzain. So Thorzain does take a pretty big lead now, up by about 30, as right now MarineKing did clean up the army at the bottom of the map. So he did even out the supply counts a little bit, but for now, Thorzain still has a pretty big advantage, considering that Thorzain, the majority of his army is still here in the top half of the map.
That was a gorgeous drop by Thorzain. Beautiful decision making. Such a smart player. Rarely making any mistakes. You can see MarineKing adding to his Viking count now, wants to reestablish an air presence. Scan going down now. Both players trying to figure out exactly where they are in terms on the map in regards to map control. And look at this. MKP going to go ahead and float this command center over. Thorzain, though, is going to have Marauders there, so he knows exactly the timing here. Marauders going to start firing away, but good reaction time out of MKP, going to get his army. At the same time, though, look at this. Adding another command center. Also, as well, advancing with his army. So Thorzain really pushing the issue here, and it looks like he's going for the main with a drop.
He almost lost the meta back there. It was really, really close, and Thorzain is going very, very, very deep with this. This is kind of like a Hail Mary play, and he commits a lot of supply and loses a lot considerably to MarineKing Prime, and looks like MKP is going to take the supply lead, which is very, very big for mech especially.
Yes.
And Thorzain, that was a very costly drop, and I don't think it was worth it, considering that he wanted to hit some important tech and production.
Yeah, essentially MKP had too much stuff at home.
Yeah.
And that's what it comes down to. In the main, he was too prepared for that drop, and, you know, tried to siege up. However, MKP had tanks regardless, so he was just fine in his main.
One thing that did go down was the sensor tower.
Yeah.
So now MKP's awareness of the map isn't as great, but just like you said, there was just too much there. And now we get to the point where this is a pretty scary army, because 3-3 has just recently finished there for MarineKing Prime, which puts them at a very, very fearsome amount of power.
I'm afraid that that's just it, too. You know, 2-2 done. And here we go. Here's the engagement. As you can see, blue flames firing off.
Wow.
Battle cruisers now coming into the fray. Vikings tanks in the mix as well, as you can see. And right now, supply just plummeting, though, for Thorzain. But able to beat back, once again, ruling the skies.
Those battle cruisers will prove to be very, very useful, especially because the mech is pushing up to the top center of the map. Now, MarineKing is rushing for it because he knows that he can't keep these tanks alive forever, so he is just going to try to do as much damage as he can immediately. And it might be kind of a situation like kind of similar to Zerglings and Void Race. Hellions running up to the board, roasting a ton of SCVs, but for now, what can Thorzain really do other than sit and watch his army on the ground dissipate right now as MarineKing Prime is pushing in close to the natural?
Froden, it is absolute pandemonium on the map right now as these tanks are in chase by these 3 battle cruisers, and you can see over at the 5th right now, forced to lift off, and MKP making that a point of contestation. Also, down here in the south, though, Thorzain firing off on the 5th of MKP. So literally, these players rather, are engaging in every hemisphere of the map.
Yeah, we do see that the siege tanks here, this is where 3-3 is kicking in significantly because the air weapons of Thorzain are not as developed as the 3 armor from the tank, so he does have them stay alive much longer than they normally would be. So Thorzain a little bit frustrated by that. He is down in supply, and he did lose a lot of his economy. He lost a mining at the 4th, he lost the 3rd completely, and his natural was struggling in terms of getting resources because it's been a long time. It's 27, 28 minutes into this game, and we see Thorzain right now is kind of struggling just for income.
Yeah, absolutely, and look at MKP, SEVs, Vikings, tanks, Blue Flame Hellions, that's called everything but the kitchen sink, essentially, on his way across the map. And right now, Thorzain, you gotta ask yourself, is he running out of gas?
Well, I mean,
figuratively and literally, both.
Okay, for some out there, like, well, he still got 200, so he can make, like, a couple siege tanks, but we do see that the Hellions are pushing in here, and there's not much on the ground here left for Thorzain, as we do see that the majority of the army is gone. The Vikings trying to hold back on here, but MarineKing is forcing his way in. What is the answer from Thorzain? His battlecruisers do end up dropping, and we do see the landed Viking here attempt from Thorzain to hold it off, but MarineKing is just way too strong. Thorzain doing an incredible amount of damage, taking a huge supply lead, 100 to 50.
That's going to do it right there. That's going to tell the story. Of course, supply, a great barometer for how it's going in a mirror match. You know, regardless of TVT, ZVZ, doesn't matter. It's a good tale of how everything is going, and that is almost insurmountable at this point to come back from. So, MKP in a fall out of your chair situation, you can kind of face roll the keyboard and still win this one at this point.
Yeah, we do see that MarineKing going for the 3rd. The one last hope for Thorzain is the fact that his top left expansion is still pretty much intact, but MarineKing, of course...
Only momentarily, Froden.
Yeah, he's going to find it and take over that, although Thorzain did try to expand over toward the middle right of the map as well, just on to drop some mules. He still has the production in the main base, and that could be his last remaining hope, but again, he's outmatched because MarineKing is taking over the map.
Yeah, I feel like MarineKing is just going to, over the course of time, sort of outclass Thorzain here and overwhelm him, really. I mean, this is sheer will right now. There was a lot of points of this game, it didn't look so great for MarineKing, but out of sheer will, making things happen, and you know, Thorzain definitely trying to hang in there, which I really appreciate out of any player.
Well, we do see the Hellions discover these bases. Now Thorzain is trying to play scrappy like a Zerg player, just popping up command centers wherever he can. Thorzain trying to protect it. This is a very, very valuable expansion indeed, but look at how many Vikings MarineKing Prime has, and that expansion will die regardless of what Thorzain does. And looks like Thorzain losing another opportunity here, but the Marines here running to the bottom right corner. Now keep in mind, MarineKing is also mining out very quickly as well. In fact, MarineKing is not really getting any sorts of income whatsoever in terms of minerals right now, and that expansion is actually very valuable as well. So Thorzain trying to play very scrappy, but again, MarineKing's army is just so big and very hard for him to confront.
Well, that's just it. I mean, he's got that 50 supply lead, and that is really the huge advantage that he is continuing to press. And that's what he needs to do. So all of the pressure is on Thorzain. Note that he is being beaten back all the way to his main. Essentially, all he has right now are a few mineral patches left here, and he does have what would have been around his 6th base up in this location, but is you know, that's the only real mining base he has if that battlecruiser finally goes down. MKP once again just really, at this point, Chew-Toy is what Thorzain became.
GG, well played, announced by Thorzain, and it looks like MarineKing Prime will take game number 1 in this series. You know, Thorzain, you never know, because if MarineKing for some reason never found out about that expansion and somehow lost a couple tanks, MarineKing Prime was actually not mining for a considerable amount of time. Look how close that game was. Obviously we have the privilege of seeing the score, but it was actually decided by a couple hundred points, despite the fact that Thorzain for a while looked like he was really, really behind. So you can tell that the game was still pretty close for a large period and duration of the game.
No, absolutely. You know, I typically don't really play much. I don't like to look much into statistics or score, but you're absolutely right. Like, that was way closer actually for a longer time than I think people would give credit for. And you know, there were a few times where MarineKing was definitely vulnerable, but where I think it started to go really poorly for Thorzain was the drop in the main. He tried to go ahead and drop the main, and really MKP just had too much stuff sitting in his main prepared for that drop. And, you know, up until that point, it was anyone's game, and then the domino effect sort of started, and, you know, MarineKing started to manhandle Thorzain. They're out.
Guys, it's getting really loud in the event. Fighting game community has finally decided to show up, so they're screaming. Halo's in one of their biggest rounds of the entire tournament, so they're shouting. Guys, if you have to pick a time where you want to show up to MLG, because people in StarCraft, of course, are going nuts,
come on out.
Now is the time.
Absolutely.
Now.
Come on out, say hi to myself, Froden, Robin, Rob Simpson, of course, JP.
You're right next to us.
Artosis, Wheat. I don't want to miss anybody. Of course, Day 9.
Kibble Silence.
Kibble Silence.
All
a veritable cornucopia.
GG very hard.
Yeah, MK.